Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype. Here on your Thursday, May 8th, 2025. Now, before we get going, we first like to welcome aboard and say thank you to all our new subscribers. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, what you waiting for, my friend? Please hit that subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate the support, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate y'all's support. All right, I thought today we'd go ahead and start out by taking a look at what we've seen as far as tornado activity here in 2025. And boy, it's been a busy map. You can see there some 731 tornadoes out there so far here into 2025. And of course, last month was very busy indeed. In fact, last month we had 350 of those tornadoes. So of course, April traditionally is our busiest month. And it looks like so far here in the month of May, well, we've only seen about 20. So it looks like I'm expecting things to start picking up again, especially as we head into next week. So I'm going to show you why I'm expecting that here during this report. So you want to stick around and I'll go ahead and show you that here in a second. Now, as far as how this year compares to previous years, we're kind of tracking on par with what we had last year. That blue line you see right there, that is where we were last year. So we're pretty close to last year's numbers, which was the second busiest. This number up here, you see this big spike here? This was 2011. That's the all-time record there, some 2,000 plus tornadoes during that year. So we're running very similar to last year. And last year, we also had a spike in activity in the second half of May, and I think we're going to see that as well for this year. Looking right now at the current satellite imagery, not looking bad across the nation. Pretty quiet here out in the west. We've got this low pressure system spreading here in the middle of the country. This is going to be diving in here, bringing in some severe weather potential across this portion. And there's a frontal boundary down here across the south that's going to come into areas towards South Texas that may bring in some severe weather as well for later this afternoon going into tonight. So here's that surface map. You see the low pressure spinning right across the middle of the country. Dead center, got a frontal system coming in across the northeast. And you got some little unsettled weather across portions of West Texas here for this morning. But otherwise, not looking too bad. We'll go ahead and take a look at that main radar here. We're going near St. Louis. You can kind of see the spin there in the atmosphere, showing that low pressure system kind of spinning around there across Missouri and into Illinois. So a little unsettled, some brief downpours coming into areas of St. Louis, obviously, just to the south, as that low pressure kind of sitting right through there as this thing begins to slowly but surely begin to pull off toward the east. Now, as we look at the Storm Prediction Center, we got a couple zones we're going to watch as far as severe weather here for today. So here's our two pockets we're talking about. So obviously you'd see that big area there across portions of Virginia and back toward Alabama. That's one yellow zone there. And down here across extreme South Texas here, right along the Mexican border, also looking at severe weather. That's where that frontal boundary is coming into. So let's go ahead and break this down by the category. We'll go ahead and see what we're going to, as far as the tornado threat and those kind of things. So the tornado threat's running pretty low. So we got a little bit down here across South Texas, and then of course we've got the bigger area of concern here across portions of the Smoky Mountains. So we're talking about cities like Johnson City, over to Knoxville, Nashville's into this, Dalton, Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama, getting near Birmingham, Gainesville, Georgia. So this whole area in here running a slight risk of seeing an isolated tornado through. Shouldn't be too bad though, but you can never rule that out totally. Now, as we go ahead and take a look right now at the wind damage threat here, that's going to be running higher. Obviously, those two little zones there around near South Texas down here needs to be watched. And obviously, this other pocket here across Tennessee into the Carolinas, North Georgia, northern Alabama. So we're talking about wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour into those zones. There's also going to be a hail component with this. There's a little cold pocket aloft with this, adding to that instability. So this shaded area especially could see quarter-inch hail or higher. 1 inch hail higher. So we're talking Knoxville, Johnson City, Asheville, over to Chattanooga. This zone here across the Smoky Mountain National Park could see some pockets of some hailers here. Now, I'm not expecting anything that's going to be too widespread. They're going to be kind of individual storms that are going to pop up through this zone, and that's what we'll be tracking here, especially going into the evening hours here, late afternoon, evening hours here for tonight. Now, as far as the next 3 days are concerned, we're going to look at that as well. I'll pull back out here. Things do settle down here a little bit. We do have a marginal risk here right along the Carolina coast into North Florida as we go in toward tomorrow. And we got a couple of general thunderstorm threats here across Minnesota, Wisconsin, back here toward Wyoming and toward Colorado and northern Mexico, but nothing severe. And then the day 3, not looking bad, just North Florida, South Georgia under a marginal risk. And you got a couple pockets out here across the Intermountain region. So things do settle down just a little bit from a severe perspective. But again, I do suspect next week, man, things are going to really start to fire up, especially here across the middle of the country. I'm going to show you that here in a second why I think that. All right, now let's look at the flood outlook here. We got a couple of areas we got to watch here for today. We're looking up here toward New York and down here South Texas here, showing that slight risk for excessive rainfall that could cause some localized flooding. And this is going to be a problem here for the next few days, especially across the southeast. Watch as I go ahead and highlight the next 5 days here. We're going to be seeing that possibility of flooding taking place here over multiple days. So here's what you're seeing here going in toward Friday. This is going into Saturday. It's still the same zones, northeast and the southeast. That's where we're going to see the highest rain totals. And then going into next week, Sunday and Monday, there you notice we're seeing a little uptick there across South Georgia, Florida, Panhandle area there, seeing that slight risk there going into the yellow. And then also going into day 5, we'll see that to kind of move into the Carolinas once again. So we'll have to watch this zone going into early next week here for some flooding, as this is going to be a very slow-moving system. We're going to be dumping copious amounts of moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico, and these rainfall totals I'm going to show you are pretty impressive at that. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the latest model data, okay? We're going to talk about that first. We're looking at the first here. The first model we're going to look at is the North American model, intermediate model, okay? So we're looking at the next 84 hours here. All right, so I kind of got this loop, and we're watching two things we're watching here. Obviously, we've got this energy here that's going to be shifting down to the Gulf. We're going to see a new upper level low kind of form down here as we go through time. It's going to be increasing the moisture here across the southeast going through this weekend. So that's the one thing we're going to watch. The other thing we're going to watch here is out on the west coast. We got a new storm system that's going to be coming in out here on the west coast as well as this moves in for this upcoming weekend. So two little systems that we're going to be watching. Obviously, we got some rain here from that initial low that's going to be forming off here. Remember, we got this low here. It's going to be kind of going this way. And then we got a new low that's going to form, upper level low. It's going to form down here to the south. So we got a couple of features we're watching here through the next 3 days. That's going to be dumping in the heavy rains across the northeast as well as the southeast. Those two pockets we were showing you where the excessive rainfall is going to be expected. So let's go ahead and talk about those rainfall totals here. Again, this is only going out to 84 hours, okay? So obviously the southeast is looking pretty hot and heavy here. You're seeing some of these heavier rain totals here, over 3 inches of rain, some pockets here across Georgia, down here toward the Florida Panhandle, showing some pretty decent pockets here. That rain path up here, you see this is where that low pressure system across Missouri currently is going to track in over this way. And then this is going to invigorate some pretty heavy rains across the northeast as well. Look at these pockets of 3 inches rain, 3 inches of rain, almost 2 inches of rain across Maine. So again, those two excessive pocket zones here over the next few days, we're definitely going to see that heavy rain threat continue here up and down the eastern seaboard. Now, going beyond the next 3 days, we're going to go out to day 7. So we're looking at the European model here. We're going to track this going into for the next 7 days. So my focus is on the next 7 days because, folks, anybody shows you anything beyond 7 days, especially the way the model data has been behaving here lately, you're kind of taking a crapshoot at that. So what we're going to watch is we're going to see this low pressure system kind of move up this way. We'll see that new system out here on the west coast start to move on in here as we go in toward your Sunday and into early next week. So this begins to move on up. There's that heavy rain across the southeast as we go in toward your Monday. There's some heavy rains there going into, of course, Florida. Very much needed rains there across South Florida because South Florida, they've been under this kind of drought conditions down there. So welcome rains there as this thing begins to move up toward the north and east here as we go into the mid-Atlantic and into the northeast. Notice we're getting some rains up here and some snows out here as well. And this is going to be the first of the initial setup here. What we're going to see with the pattern change taking place is we're going to see some colder temperatures out here in the west. So we're going to see some colder weather out here in the west. You notice we get some snows out here, and we're going to be watching up here for that initial severe weather outbreak here, kind of going into this zone as we go in toward the middle of next week. So that is the battlegrounds really going to start setting up there between the Intermountain region and the plains. So two different air masses are really start to kind of clash there. So as we go and take this out to 180 here, again, we'll see these thunderstorms. So you kind of see the hints of this here, like up in here, showing up here across Minnesota, Iowa. And we're going to see, I think, the progression, and as this pattern is going to be establishing itself, where we're going to have that warm, moist air out in the plains and the cold air in the Rockies, and we're going to see the setup for the clashes of the air masses as these little disturbances roll in out of the Rockies as we go past the 15th of the month. So it looks like from the 15th through the end of the month, I'm expecting a little more active weather pattern. Check this out here. Now, as far as rainfall totals here over the next 7 days, let's do this first before I get ahead of myself here. Again, you can see the heaviest rains here across the eastern third of the United States. Again, that's a slow-moving system across the southeast. You're looking at rainfall totals approaching 4 inches here. The Florida Panhandle showing 8 inches here. Some heavy rains down here toward Florida. I think Florida can take it, obviously, with the drought conditions. but you see the heavy rain pockets all up and down the eastern seaboard. Pretty quiet here in the middle of the country. Good rains here across portions of the Intermountain region in here, partly because of those thunderstorms that will be flaring up there going in toward Wednesday of next week. And you got some decent rains even coming into Northern California. A little unusual to be seeing rain still coming into California getting this late in the season, but it's good to see they're getting some rains out there out west as well. Now, I want to illustrate this battleground approach. Again, I want to show this. This is looking at the temperatures here for next Wednesday, all right? So you got a very clear dividing line here, all right? You got some very warm, moist air out ahead of this. You got much cooler. Look at these temperatures sitting here in the Intermountain region in the 40s and 30s. I got temperatures there across Texas sitting in the hundreds. So the battleground is going to be setting up here in the middle of the country. Now, as these little disturbances slide out of the Rockies and slam into that warm, moist air, we're going to get those thunderstorms to flare up. So I think the initial first round is going to come Wednesday. And then as we progress later in the month, based off what the pattern shift is going toward, we'll see an increase in tornadic activity, especially across the high plains. Now, as you get into May and June, that's where it typically does start to fire up. And that's what we're going to see start to happen here as we progress past the middle of next week. So as we take a look at the climate outlook here, it kind of backs what we're seeing here. Check this out. All right, now you notice here, again, we're seeing the below normal temperatures out here in the west, big time west. You notice the big dividing line lines up very well with what we were showing you where the temperatures are. So because of that, we're going to see that the battle zones between the cool air and the warm air take place here over the second half of the month. And it looks like this is going to continue deeper into the month. Now, this is the 6 to 10 day outlook here that's taken us here from the 13th through the 17th. And as we go out to the 8th to the 14th, it's still kind of sitting there. So we're going to have to watch that closely again. Warm in the east, cooler out in the west. Now, where's the precipitation setting up? Where's the climate center expecting that to set up? Well, look at that. We got a bullseye up there with above normal precipitation here, up here across the areas of the high plains and coming in the Rockies area. So again, that's where I'm expecting that severe weather uptick to take place. And it looks like that continues into the 8th to the 14th. So again, as these storm systems are going to sit there and pull out of the Rockies and pull this way and run into that warmer air, we're going to see that severe weather thunderstorms set up, especially as the temperatures really warm up. We get into the middle to upper 80s, that cape, that instability factor really starts to rise and start to come up. Now, one thing it does look like it's going to happen finally after some very heavy rains, looks like the southeast as we go in toward the 15th to the 21st, we'll get a chance to dry out after some recent heavy rains that are going to be coming here over the next 7 days. So some good news for you folks there in the southeast. All right, that's y'all's update here on your Thursday. Again, I appreciate everybody checking this out. I'm trying this new format out here as far as delivering you weather in a not over-the-top manner, kind of get you prepared and get you ready to go and plan your days here for the week ahead. I hope you like the new product. If you got any feedback or you got things you'd like to see included, please leave a comment down below. I do appreciate that. And again, we like to give you the weather. We don't like to try to scare you to death. We like to just keep you prepared and keep you weather aware when you need it the most. And thank you for choosing Weather Nerds as one of your weather choices. God knows there's plenty of us out there in the YouTube universe. All right, that's y'all's update for now. You guys take it easy. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next update. Until then, y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.